6:30, is it ready? All right, it's 6:30 p.m., so I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Zoning Commission and Board of Adjustments of the City of Alarmy. Madam City Administrator, call the forum.
Commissioner Sebastian Martinez.
Here.
Commissioner Brandon Guzman.
You.
Mayor Art Martinez Rivera.
Here.
Mayor Ivan Colon.
Let's stand for the invocation. and pledge allegiance.
Okay. Thank you, God, for the opportunity to hold our monthly meeting. The last government to make the right decision that will benefit the city of One Army. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any citizens to be heard? For the zoning and...
No, sir.
No. Okay, we'll go to agenda item number 1. Discuss and consider possible action regarding applications for a zoning variance, zone change, and special use permit for the following properties. We'll start with A, Ultimate Diesel and Auto Repair, LLC, for a zone change from C, which is Commercial District, to PD, Planned Development District, to allow for a motor vehicle repair facility on approximately 2.0 acres, generally located at 13835 Interstate 35 South.
Mayor, would you like me to speak
Yes,
first?
right. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, board members. So last month, the board considered Mr. Lindo's request. He owns Ultimate Diesel. They are a heavy truck repair facility, and they're looking to develop the land that is located just on the north side of I-35, 13835 Interstate 35. So they have a piece of land there where they want to build a new facility. We've been talking to them for several months from before we adopted the new Unified Development Code. So we let them know at that time that in order to conduct this heavy truck repair facility use, they would be needing some sort of zone change. With the code that existed at the time, that would have required an SUP. But we have since adopted the new code, and so that would require our RD3 zoning district, our regional District 3, which is the district that's designed more for heavy commercial uses. That's a district that our UDC does not contemplate being along I-35, because I-35 is intended for more retail-oriented uses. This, of course, is a heavy commercial use that doesn't generate any sales tax. The only sales tax it generates is just from selling parts, but labor is not a taxable thing. So that's not really consistent with the policy that the city has had for future land uses along I-35. And so my recommendation is that, as I mentioned, in order to be able to have this use by right, they would need a zone change to RD3. I don't recommend y'all do that. So when I initially talked to Mr. Lindo, I said, really, there's only one potential zone change for this request that could really be palatable, in my opinion. The city doesn't have a future land use plan yet, but I said, if it's the desire of the board to approve this and consider this request, I think a planned development district would be the most reasonable way, because that would put the city and the board in the position to, if they were inclined to approve this particular development, that would put you all in the position to be able to ask for specific site planning considerations and also building considerations in order to require this particular development to resemble and be compatible with future retail type development. I spoke, I told them, gave them the example, and I've mentioned this to y'all in the past, that Christian Brothers Automotive is an example of a repair type of use that does a really good job of creating a quality development, and that's why you see that in more retail facilities. So that was going to be my recommendation to the board, that if y'all were inclined to approve this type of development, a PD district would allow y'all to ask for those kind of development standards to make sure it fits in with future retail uses. So they presented at the last last planning and zoning commission meeting. In my opinions, their plans, I wouldn't recommend those particular plans with the way that the development is currently structured. They've got a large building, a large metal building that, you know, it's got heavy metal doors on it. There wasn't any landscaping on the plan. Initially, the building was facing the opposite direction. So I worked with them and told them, you know, you at least need to turn the building around and have it facing the front, facing I-35. They've been really open to that change. And we've also had discussions about having the garage doors be glass, looking at some alternative building materials on the building other than metal panel, just basically trying to do things that make it not look like an industrial building, not look like a commercial warehouse or something that's not retail. And so we've discussed that. They haven't, today, y'all are working on some plans, but they have not submitted anything new. And so I let them know, you know, hey, you don't have anything new, so there's a good chance that this could get tabled again. That way they have time to work together. So I think my recommendation as of tonight is to not approve it as currently presented. And also have some discussion with y'all to see how y'all feel about this too. And that'll give me some good direction to determine, you know, is this something that the city's looking for here as a land use, or, you know, would another site be more appropriate? Or if so, then that gives me kind of marching orders to go work with them and tell them, hey, here's how we do this to make it fit, you know. So even though the land use is not the type of use, the activity that's going to be going on inside the building is not the most desirable thing, at least the way it looks, it's going to comply with all the other standards of the desired zoning here, which is beautiful landscaping, good looking building that can maybe be reused for a burger joint or some other retail uses down the road. And so let's have this look like a retail building, even though the use inside. So it's the submittal is not there as of right now. So my recommendation would be to table it and to continue. That way, you know, when they do come back, they've got a finished cooked product for you guys to look at. And that way y'all and the public know exactly what you potentially be approving.
So, the applicant, they applied for what you recommended, right, a planning development district?
Yes.
Okay. And so, you said that would allow us to kind of customize or require additional things than just a simple zoning change. Logistically, how does that work? Let's say we approve a planned development district. The requirements or details of that district, are they set at the time we approve it, or is it something we approve and later on set it, or what's the?
Great question. So the way the structure of a PD, planned development district, works is it's an ordinance. So like, say they were to come in and just ask for the standard zone change, and they were just going to ask for the RD3, which I recommend against. But say y'all were inclined to approve that. That's just an ordinance that says it's a zone change from C1 to RD3, and they just have to comply with the standards. There's no additional requirements y'all are able to place on it. But with a PD, the way that works is a PD sets a base zoning district. So my recommendation on this would be that the base zoning district be our RD1 zoning, RD2 zoning, which is what's intended for I-35, which only allows retail-oriented uses, which has probably the most stringent development standards. You know, that's a Schlotzsky's is going to come in, or a Costco or something, and they're going to have to make the parking lot beautiful with trees. The building needs to have at least a certain percentage of windows and doors, and it needs to look like something that's, you know, on 281 or something like that. And so that's the base. But with the PD, there's another layer on top of that, which basically says, in addition to all this other stuff that you can do in the RD1, which is stuff that generally we all would probably think, hey, that's good, that's what we want on I-35. In addition to that, he may also do this heavy truck repair facility, but only that, in addition to the RD1 uses, and only if it looks just like this, only if it's developed exactly according to this site plan, and only if the building elevations look like this. So if you were to approve the PD with the site plan, the building elevations, and they just decide to put up a huge, you know, metal building that doesn't have any windows and it's pointed the wrong direction or something, they wouldn't be able to do that, because when they came with the permit, Valerie and I would look at it, nope, this is not what you got approved. So it's kind of a planned development district works kind of like a specific use permit, except you can also get variances through. Exactly. An SUP only allows you to add requirements, but a plan development district allows you to give flexibility on land use in exchange. That's the concept of a plan development district. It's intended to provide flexibility on how land is used, but in exchange for them getting that flexibility, it needs to technically be a better looking development than what you would get under the regular standards. So that's why I'm saying if it's the inclination of the board to be flexible in the land use, I recommend y'all require them to make it look really great.
And if you did that, then it would be the same design standards as everybody else on there.
Yes,
So it would be higher, it would be lower. They just have the additional right of a different use than
exactly.
everybody else.
Exactly. That's why the fairness of it is that they're getting to do this additional use because they're making it look prettier than everybody else would. So that's the exchange. That's the idea behind the statutes that allow for PDs.
Is the applicant here?
Sure.
Your thoughts on that recommendation, or what do you want to say?
I know, sorry, my name is Frank, co-owner of Ultimate Heat Auto. My brother is a second member owner. Small business, been in business 4 years now. Every step of the way we've grown. We started on the light duty HD scene, in semis, stuff like that, and now we incorporated automotive equipment, police cruisers, you would say, anything basically automotive now. So we cater to HD, meaning semis, but we do it all. We do work for City of Lotus already, we do work for different companies, we don't work for the base, like I told you in the last meeting. Ideally, what we're looking to present, and I'd like to, I've been working with, fall the last year, with Mr. Brandon, and it's been a process. I'm not against, following the code and doing things accordingly. It's just, like he said, it's been a process that we all have to, I guess, basically tackle because the zoning changes changed so much that I wasn't aware of it.
Right.
So initially, when I bought the property, it was commercial, and, I made sure the realtor could inform me if down the road they would fall in, and she said yes, so. Like he mentioned, we want to do the face of the building. It'll face Interstate 35, so along the access road when you're driving by, you'll be able to see the face of the building. It'll be roll-up doors, and then steel building. Those kits come different color coordinated, so we're gonna offset gutters, roof, the masonry look on the bottom of it to make it look flashy. Lilac trees I prefer, because it's a pretty little tree along the fence line. Some sort of brush around the building if that's what, we have to do. I don't know what Von Army is like, but in San Antonio, the primary, they'll see a shop with glass doors and they'll break in. And me as a business owner, if it's your vehicle or his or vice versa, I'm responsible for that because my business is basically taking the plug into that second. So I'm not against not making the building look pretty. I'm all for it. We have a five-star Google review online where ideally the business that I have and the business that we run, we take extreme pride in our work ethic, our professionalism. Obviously, we've grown to this point, thankfully, where now we can afford license of our own, and that's what we're looking at. I'm not looking to cut costs. I'll do whatever I guess y'all feel is necessary, but at the same time, there's certain things that I don't think I can allocate to. In regards, this is the estimate that the lender approved and took into consideration for the loan construction loan, you could say, where it valued the property at $120,000 currently, and all said and done, it's going to be closer to $850,000. So they took into account all of that. It's not just going to be some sort of steel building, but something professional. It's like Better Business Bureau accredited, ANC certified. Basically, we take this seriously, and this is what we're presenting to guys.
So you have the right of way or
That easement runs through a separate lot from a different owner. I'm trying to purchase that lot so I can expand it, but we haven't reached an agreement. Tech Spot gave us that entryway because that's the safest for traffic analysis. So basically, Mr. Delgado mentioned we have to do a
So
share.
what we're gonna have to do is a shared driveway, because that's how we're doing all shared driveways now. So They want to share a driveway there, they want it up to 35 and not that turnaround.
Right.
That would just be too much, there might probably be incidents there, if we did it there, so they want it up to the turnaround.
So Texas gave you entry, did you have the easement when you got the right to build?
That's the easement that they're gonna give us, so that's.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get that easement, yes, we're gonna have to get with the owner that owns the property, but right now, he's trying to buy the property, so we haven't gone to that point yet.
We're all for investing in certain reports that Mr. Brandon may require. It's just as me as owner, I don't want to invest into something that I don't have some sort of certainty if y'all will even allow me down the road, you know what I mean? A small business, you gotta understand, first generation Americans, here we are, it's summer, I read in the report, you wanna help businesses, and, the American dream you mentioned at some point in time. And ideally, this is part of that, so.
If you're able to acquire the front property, I'm not familiar with this, would that change your site plan?
No, I want to keep it where the building's up against the back to where I have more frontage or more, basically, I could do more islands, parking, more vehicles. And if not, what I could do as a owner is buy them in separate lots. I could build something. I could, offer it out to some sort of business, whatever it be, I think the opportunity's there. There's really
That's only like a quarter acre, right, so.
0.35 acres. And it just went up for sale, but I don't know if the realtor is informing them that we're trying to work with TechStop in regards to the easement. So that have different things for them. So we have.
Alma River is there, right? Alma River.
It's on Benton City Road, the turnaround, that over where our manufactured home sales is across the interstate. We're right across the interstate.
And it ended up this little corner lot, I think it's
It's-
trying to round each other. Yeah.
I've been in contact with the third party. I know the gentleman, I think it's Matt Knapp, I mentioned that he passed. And I've been in contact with the party responsible for it now. And we've been going back and forth. It's just, the lender says, it makes sense for you to have a credit, but the problem is the construction loan, the money, the fund is already ready. The loan is approved, we're ready, the contract is on board. Steel building is on board, we made the deposit, so we will approve it. Ideally, everything's ready, we're just, the next process is zoning and permits and the presentation here today.
No, this is the floodplain, right?
The back of the property is in the floodplain, but the portion, the property is in the floodplain, so they wouldn't need a floodplain development permit, but the portion they're building is not in the floodplain. Yeah. Here's this is kind of what I was talking about, Christian Brothers. If you look at their elevations, it'd be pretty, I'm not gonna get into the cost, that's their business, but this would be easy to, this is basically their building, except with glass doors and, different kind of roofing and architectural, and it's real kind of compatible with retail. That's my recommendation.
Commissioner, do you have any questions?
Well, if you table it on, would it take for him to do the planning to
That'd be a question for them, and I think there's two questions for them, is one, how long would it take for them to make the changes, and two is, are they wanting to make those changes, or are they wanting to move forward with what they're asking for and just kind of ask y'all to make a decision on? So I think that's, a question for
The
them.
main thing there is the budget's allocated to a certain funds, and there's a little bit of a cushion, but if we have to go full board of windows, that's gonna change the price substantially. And then on top of that, I don't know the safety of it. So, if we tabled it, I'm not against not changing it to, meet that requirement. It's just, to me, I don't wanna invest, because Mr. Delgado is paid. I'm out of pocket at this point, I'm trying not to touch the loan, because ideally I'm responsible for that if y'all say, okay, no. But I just want some sort of peace of mind today, hey, you know what, Frank, we're on board with you as long as, but I just want something to where I know I'm not spending my money and I'm upside down. And again, I wanted to be, we're gonna be a part of the community, hopefully, and that's, it's an exchange of services. Repair shops are hard to find these days, we all hear the words, we're trying to do something different, I think that's why it's gone too well for us, but, I can't complain.
Where y'all currently located?
1604 Marble. I'm renting there. Now, what I'm renting there is a lot smaller. And once all this is said and done, I'm gonna be paying double the rent than what I'm paying here. So it only makes feasible sense for change. rent is a whole other monster, as you're well aware.
Yeah.
When it's proper and it's yours, you know, that's the main thing. Like, nobody wants to live in a glass house if you can see what you have and, you know, exploit that. So I'm on board, whatever needs to get done, just, I would like some sort of answer today moving forward. You know what, sir, we welcome it, or you know what, no, because, ideally, any resolution.
And any revisions that you made, I can do them within a week.
And, I mean, I don't mind calling a special meeting, you know, and not having many people wait a long time. Sammy, do you have any thoughts on that?
Good idea.
You understand the city's position, or we're trying to have continuity of design on 35, so.
Instead of an impact, we feel out of one, that we downgrade our design standards.
Well, no, because I think what Brandon's saying, the design standard is the same. It would just be the
Exactly.
non-conforming use.
Yeah, but if we didn't make them, if we let them use this plan, with the affects the future of how design standards of other businesses.
Yeah, I mean, people are all,
Downgrade what we did with everybody else, right?
there is, yeah, people are always gonna say, I want to have the same thing they have. So it sets a precedent. It sets a precedent for that, you know, whereas, you know, with this, you know, if you did something like this, you can always, when people come in, you can always say, we want brick, we want glass doors, we want, you know, nice design, and we want all that landscaping. You're not giving any variances for development standards. The only relief you're giving is for the land use. So, you know, there's the continuity. So yeah, you're not, and you're staying in keeping with the purpose of a planned development district, because, you know, planned development district is not intended to be something that provides both flexibility on land use and also variances for development standards. It's not, it's almost, you know, planned development districts, they're not spot zoning, but they can basically be backdoor spot zoning.
Right.
And that's, if you give flexibility on land use and you waive all your development standards, that's sort of spot zoning in a way. And that's a dangerous precedent too. So, yeah.
I mean, the main pushback I heard was steel on glass doors because of safety. Is there another option? Or isn't a door replaceable? Like, let's say there's a future use, could it be essentially grandfathered if it's repurposed? The doors have to change, is that like a permanent?
What it is, by not requiring, the reason why I'm suggesting the glass doors is, number one, they look a lot more attractive and they're more in keeping with retail. But what the glass doors do is they satisfy the code requirement to have at least 30% transparency on the facade. Yeah, and so that's the scary thing. It's not so much about the doors, it's about how the doors check off that requirement of the code. And so then you get somebody else that comes in like a big box and they just want to, you know, big blank wall. They're going to say, well, they got it too. And so that's the utility of the glass. And that's, you know, I definitely understand what they're saying about, you know, safety and things, but, you know, that's unfortunately, you know, I was telling them earlier, it's like, that's kind of, you know, the city would already be compromising on land use. You know, that's kind of part of trying to fit a square peg into a round hole here. Is that's a concession they have to make. So maybe get security, video cameras, like that kind of stuff. Just put in stuff that makes it not desirable for somebody to break in. The other, and you know, that's the other part of part of the list of recommendations that I gave to the board last time was not allowing outside storage. You know, a lot of heavy truck, you know, shops will want to park the cars outside. They're going to get worked on. That's another great thing about Christian Brothers is they don't leave their cars outside. At the end of the day, whatever they're working on goes inside, you know, and so that kind of just goes into the whole land use of it, you know. So it'd have to be security, you know, so some other kind of security.
Okay, I do drive around, I go around, we showed it to the left as you go in. It doesn't have any windows, it doesn't have any glass.
Yeah.
It's, up and down, the metal door.
Yeah.
Patriot Garage, is the same way, we have their office, and then you have the page. I'm not a professional engineer, but I'm making a shot like that, doesn't mean graduate with, I don't think.
But I mean, there are good-looking buildings and there are bad-looking buildings, and sometimes you make something look good that doesn't have one, but it's less about looking at each building and saying, well, that's a good-looking one, so we'll let them not put in windows, and that one's, because, it's all about the design of it. What, in my opinion, the important thing in here is sticking to your regulations. And, you can't, same thing, you wouldn't say, well, you can cut down all the trees on this because your site plan looks pretty, but their site plan doesn't look pretty, so we're not gonna let you cut down the trees on this one. You can't make decisions, or at least in terms of trying to, upheld. What it is about protecting your regulations and not kind of neutering them, based on design, and really being able to defend the decision that you make for the next guy that comes down the road. And so, if you, I hate doing this, they've been really, respectful to deal with, but, the next one that comes in may just be a concrete box. And, it doesn't have a gable roof, but you can't tell them no. You're like, so it's, yeah.
That's okay. It's more like, right?
So, if we give you different options that y'all can approve for different garage doors, so that not there's maybe glass on the top of it, so we can still meet the requirements, but we still meet security on that.
And on that note, we've been working on this since fall of last year, where we were aware of one, and like I had mentioned, there's shops in the area that aren't very professional looking and not safe looking. Like my mother, my sister, my daughter wouldn't feel safe going something like that. Whereas opposed to us, where they were grandfathered in, so I can't expect them, or I guess I can't fall into their same, criteria. But being that we started in a different zoning and the requirements might have been less, that's kind of where I'm seeing, I'm willing to take all, but what's this?
Sounds like, okay.
Well, actually, so, I guess to clarify, it's not like they would have had it easier back then. Like, they wouldn't have had it any easier under the old code. It just would have been, or I guess they wouldn't have had it easier in terms of the things that we're talking about tonight, in terms of design and development standards. Assuming I was still here, doing the job I'm doing tonight, and say maybe the new code hadn't been adopted. We would still be talking about the same things, and I would be making the same recommendations, and they still would have been in the same place. They can't, under the new code and the old code, they can't do by right. So, he mentioned the realtor, which really have appreciated working with you guys, but if the realtor told y'all that y'all can come into Von Ormy and just be able to be permitted, that was actually incorrect information. The realtor was wrong. Because under the old code, you would have still had to get a specific use permit. And as a condition of the specific use permit, I would have recommended the same things that I'm recommending tonight. So the only thing that's different is that they're having to request an actual zone change instead of a specific use permit on top of the existing C zoning. But so nothing's different. It's just what's on the agenda that's different. So, yeah.
It sounds to me like you want to try to conform to the design standard.
Yeah.
So, I think maybe we just give them that opportunity, bring back the drawing, work with Brandon. If there's something that just can't be reconciled, and so maybe give us an option or two. And
With those options, though, if it's something and we're going to say, okay, you know what, this is it, right? If that's the case, I'm looking to reconcile. I mean, I'll make it happen regardless, because I'm not about to give up on the dream at this point and my goals. So my main thing is I don't want to come out of Papa Saturday without your guys' opinion. I've never met you. I met these two gentlemen last time. I knew a little bit about them. But ideally, if y'all can give me some sort of resolution, you know what?
I'm happy to meet with you, Brent. We can't meet together. But I'm happy to meet with you, the next few days. Instead of Brandon, maybe brainstorm some things. But I think, Brandon's job is to make sure that we have, conformity, and it sounds like you're willing to do that. So I don't see why we can't work on something. We can do it. If you guys can do it fairly quickly. It's really on your end. I don't mind calling a special meeting if we have availability versus maybe wait till the next year, if that's helpful. So, the other.
Can we propose something conditional?
I wouldn't do it in this case because it's gonna be a PDD. It needs to be all agreed to at the time we adopt it.
Yeah, that's something, I mean, what happens if we approve it and then they're not able to get the easement? Yeah, that issue, and then,
Yeah.
so, sounds like everyone's all work.
I reached an agreement with the landlord side. I looked at it and I don't see how many leases in it. It's such a small lot. And they gave me a discount on their cost. It's a lump sum of cash. And I don't, when I say I don't have it, it's just, I don't want to compromise myself and purchase it. And then the loan or the construction doesn't happen. Now, I acquired land, don't get me wrong, but if I can't use it for what I want, I'm just going to turn around and sell it. And ideally, if it all works out, maybe,
Yeah. There's some conditional, you can get an option, you get a contract with an extended closing, conditional on city approval.
Yeah.
There's ways to work around that, so you're not obligated to buy it unless we get.
the lenders on board, it's just like they don't do so much for the construction loan, and they felt we need to close, or at least, get this under our belt before, because I mean, a purchase, a cash purchase is different as opposed to a finance, so, I think that property will be ours eventually, it's just when, but obviously it's not anything to do with this, and I know you mentioned the easement, so that's kind of like.
One more, as far as outdoor lighting, is there anything, what's in the plan here, is there?
They would have to comply with the standard code requirements, which is, make sure everything is downlit. There's limitations on the amount of lumens that you guys can do, so you can't, you definitely security, but yeah, there's limitations on brightness.
There's already a big light pole that runs along the access road, I guess it's general lighting through the four-way sign, so that shines into the property. We want to be doing anything to illuminate, something that wasn't illuminated. But for the building itself and the fascia of it, it will have its surveillance system as well. Don't get me wrong, we're not cutting corners, but ideally, again, we're here to present it and
And signage, I don't think, do you have any?
I saw the permit, we have a sign, we're a NEPA care center, so NEPA certified us to be a care center, meaning if you do any work within care center, you get more information like most care centers. Our sign is 3 foot by 18 foot long, which will fit perfectly above that front entrance, and it's neon illuminated, black.
It's attached to the building?
I'm looking to attach it, but it will attach to the steel portion of the beams. It's removable, we just have to install one small deal. This is what it looks like.
So there's nothing on 35 or
It'll be on the face of the building itself.
Right, so, yeah.
Right here.
Right, I guess.
It'll be put right there. And it's illuminated at night, so the machine will have this light.
I'm looking at this one.
So it's gonna go right here above the office and stuff, and that's where it looks like at night.
The front of the building,
Yes, sir.
where is it?
Towards the road. Without children, you can see.
How many by 80?
The bay is gonna be 5 bays, and then this is the sign that will be hung on. So 5 big entrances.
They put in this.
This is what the sign looks like at night, and this is currently there.
Give us a picture of it. I don't like to shoot.
Okay, I think we'll put it on the building.
The signage.
Anything else?
Okay. Continue with, how long would it take to develop this document?
It's really on their end. I mean, I was suggesting table it, to allow them an opportunity to work with Brandon and present a plan that conforms to the base, we call it the base.
Space zoning?
The base zoning, and bring it back, and if that lines up with one of our regular meetings, we'll do it then. if they ask us to expedite it, we have to call a special meeting to expedite it for them. You said you can probably do it in a few weeks, or?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we already held a public hearing.
Yeah.
And so at that public hearing, at that meeting, we had specifically set today's date to not post it again. So if we're gonna bring it back, then we have to at the public meeting announce when the next meeting will be.
We do.
Maybe,
Maybe
maybe
30%.
That's the thing.
The way y'all can make it.
Pick one, if you're not ready, we can just.
yeah.
The September meeting, we can do it, but as part of the special meeting, we still did hold a special meeting for it, and you have to be noticed.
I got you.
So, that's like, that's last week.
No, we did put it in the paper, we had to send, we had to send out notice that there was gonna be a proposed zoning change. We have to put out public notice for that.
Yeah, but nobody shows up, what's the deal?
But it's not that, we still have to
Still
notice.
requirement, yeah. When's the September meeting?
11. I won't be here.
That's right.
September.
Next meeting, September 11th, unless you guys want to meet, I mean, Commissioner Guzman will be available, but
When you-
tell me if you had any date. It is.
No, we changed this week, they changed October.
Okay, that's September.
We can't if we want to. We want to change it. When you come back,
October. This is on the other section. You're not for the whole month. Well, it's up to you. Do you mind us meeting without you, or do you want us to agree? Absolutely. No, that's, yeah. Okay, so you need, what day do you need? Sorry. What day of office do you need? The 12th, next week? Okay. So,
so then the 11th, we national day.
11th of September.
That would be the national.
What did you want? You're back the 9th of September or the 9th of October? Okay.
It'll have to be.
Yeah, there's another, yeah. All right, so it's gonna be September 11th for in the next 2 or 3 days. We're gonna do it. So, yeah, so it's gonna be September 11th.
I don't think it's gonna be all that.
You don't think we can or can't?
I already have enough work this weekend that I have to complete, so, yeah, I won't be able to get to it.
Okay, so it'll be September,
So, that's,
September 11th, would that be the public notice or,
the hearing date.
That would be the, no, that would be the meeting that, we don't have, if y'all announce the next meeting that it's being tabled to at a public meeting, we don't have to notice it again.
Notice request, I guess. Okay. And that's as soon as we can meet anyway. So.
Unless you do it Monday, but they're not going to be ready to do it.
so what exactly do we need to change? Just the doors for now, to, I guess, suffice for that 30%? Or landscaping, I guess, what would be if you wanted to try to expedite it, you could say?
Doors, landscaping, building materials. I think that's, not metal, so we can talk about that.
so I can check, so I can show the different materials. That had a color one, but we didn't.
I think we need one, I think we can
Yeah.
schedule a call
Yeah.
or meeting.
He's great.
I'll be there, I can be there as well, but
Yeah.
Brett is the guy with the design standard.
I'll call you tomorrow and go over everything, and then if it's not that much, I can have it tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion then that we table this agenda item and reschedule it for September 11th. Right now. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Two carries. Would you like to- We'll move on to agenda item 1B. It's a request by Alpha Enterprises for a zone change from C Commercial District to C Commercial District with a specific use permit to allow food processing on approximately 2.2 acres, generally located at 13994 Interstate 35 South.
Mr. Mayor, Board, so as I mentioned on the last item, the previous process was for a commercial use like this. The previous process required a specific use permit. And so there have been there's more history behind this particular project. So, the city attorney determined the best mechanism for this would be to request a specific use permit. It affords y'all the same ability to make sure that they're proposing food processing here, so it affords y'all the same opportunity to require development standards consistent with the new code. So we've been working with Mr. Merrick. He's a representative of the owner. He's the contractor.
Yeah, the contractor, designer.
Yeah.
We designed this building.
So we've been working with them. There have been a few different site plan configurations and elevations that we've been working with them on. And so, up until a few days ago, the plans hadn't changed a ton too much. And so he did forward some new plans, which were forwarded to the board. Again, my opinion, same as the last one. Up until just a little while ago, the plans weren't there yet. Y'all seen the plans, in my opinion, there's a lot of opportunity. Sorry, I should have said the development. Yeah, this one's located just west of Benton City Road, south side of I-35. Yeah, Terranagna property. So, in my opinion, there's a lot of opportunity to better utilize this land. They're looking to, really, we were just talking, they're looking to develop probably half of the property. And so for a city that is driven by sales tax, not only is the quality of the development important, but really good land utilization is important. If you have people coming in and just, having large parking lots and, that's a lot of wasted land. Every square foot counts. So in my opinion, there's still a lot of work. I wouldn't be able to recommend approval of this one to you guys just based on the way the lot is laid out. So just really site configuration, in my opinion, they could reconfigure things and literally use half of this lot and potentially save the other half to be subdivided off and sold off. Or, they can keep it, but it definitely, as value builds in this city, the demand will be there for them to potentially sell the rest of it off to some other retail use once we get sewer down here. So the site design is one big issue I have with this one. Another concern that I've had in the past was with the front facade. They have, the one you showed me earlier didn't have very many windows in it, but a previous version had a lot more windows in it. So I think that a previous version did have the 30%. It's a good looking building. And so a big issue, the concern that I had was the configuration of the loading zones. If you go look at HEB, Best Buy, all the loading zones are in the back, the storefronts in the front. Right. And so he and I talked, he just sent me something a little while ago, which brings the loading around the back, which I think is definitely a big step forward on this one, in terms of the visibility. We were just talking that, the office is kind of off on the side. There's still a bunch of parking, and then there's just a big green space. There's probably like an acre of grass there. And so I was just talking to him. I was like, why can't you just use half this site and put the parking in the back too? Since it's a food processing use, you don't need to have parking. It's just the employees are using it. It's not like you're going to have retail storefront traffic. So why not put all the parking in the back? He said the owner's wanting to do it the way it is. And so I told him, my recommendation is going to be move the office and develop half the lot. And that way you can do something with the other half. That's absolutely something that is within y'all's purview as the board to dictate site design through an SUP, especially if they're asking for something which isn't really, totally, in the realm of what y'all are wanting to see on there. So my recommendations on this, I I know they're in a big time constraint, and I already told Merrick, I'm sorry, but there's too much ambiguity on this. This one's just like the last one. There's too much ambiguity on this to approve it with conditions. Y'all need to, the public and the boards need to see exactly what they're going to be approving prior to the next meeting. So my recommendation on this is more landscaping along the street, better site configuration, and more windows, and also nothing stored outside overnight. And then the other question I have that hasn't really been addressed yet, they said they were gonna do that down the road, just like Ultimate Diesel, is where would drainage go? That's really important, because, y'all could approve the site plan and then they need a, 5,000 square foot detention pond. Where's that gonna go? So that's everything you look at, then the detention pond goes over on the piece of land we're trying to preserve, and then it's wasted forever for a detention. So there's a lot of ambiguity on this one. I told them, like, I'm sorry, but, same thing with this one. I recommend y'all table it, enable the applicant to work with me, intensively over the next week or so to get a good working.
So there hasn't been a drainage study?
No, it's not. Have y'all done any kind of drainage analysis? Where's the detention
So
pond?
what happened was, since the last review,
Mhm.
but I didn't know I could shoot review, so that's why I was here. We did everything according to the recommendations. We submitted the landscape, we submitted the screening with the fencing, we submitted drainage, and recalculate all the windows according to everything what we said, and we submitted it. Now we ended up that still the parking is not good looking. So what I'm proposing is, let's keep whatever we have and just split the parking in the back. And the reason that we didn't want the parking in the back is that the owner wanted to keep the back actually for future development. The owner wanted to extend the building to the back. But with the unit what we have right now, if we're gonna put that on the back, that means there's no way we can extend the building in the future. So what we do, we're thinking that maybe in the future, we just gonna put a second building on the side. So I can convince the owner for a lot of things, but it needs to make a sense before we do it. This is not really a food processing. The owner has a spice factory in Mexico. So he's gonna bring some spices here, repacking them, and sell it. So it's gonna be a distribution, sale, and repacking. This is not, with the spices, it's not really nothing done with the production of the food. So it needs to be nice, needs to be clean, all for it. We're talking with the food. And we're gonna design the way we want to place one. The only thing is the same like the other one. Timing. Yeah, this is the project that takes looks like it's gonna take longer to get it approved than built.
What about odors? They're gonna be, you're dealing with spices and stuff, I don't know. Does this type of repackaging and
It may smell like a regular kitchen in the house.
is there an analogous site? I mean, that's just,
And this is not 100%. That's what he is planning to do. And then, so we wanted to get it approved. And it may be just a pure distribution, coming from Mexico, gets shipped to the stores, or get people coming, wholesalers are coming to get it. But this is the type of the business that he's running. So
Everything will be
so
done
we-
indoors.
Yeah, everything indoors. there's
Everything's
no
stored
storage,
indoors.
No storage, nothing on the outside. All nice in environment, all nice in production. If we can call it production. Well, yes, actually.
when you say repackaging, what is it? It comes in bulk and you put it in smaller packages? Or is that like a conveyor belt or that's?
Or maybe they have a bigger boxes, they put the smaller boxes.
But there's
Distribution,
there's
whatever it is.
but there's no manufacturing, there's no taking core
No,
chemicals or materials and turning them into something else. It's purely
no.
distribution of
Correct.
food.
This is not really production, that is gonna have a freezer, so some kind of a,
It's not
line of a things being.
It's not like Fiesta seasoning or Bonus Fiesta where they're
No,
actually
no.
creating the spices there. It's just purely
Which everything is on the company.
packaging. Okay.
When you said expansion and creating a second building, would it be just a similar use? You just want to expand capacity?
It's basically, if everything goes good, we will ready just to get the same building, just stick it on the back. And then, and have it a long, very long building. Because the owner has this, on the back of the car, it's really, really big. I don't know how many it was. So this is what he was planning to do. So let's do this, and then we're
Oh,
gonna.
it's great. Owns the property behind?
But do you have any plans for that? Because,
No,
you know, because the zoning back behind your property is actually residential. That would, yeah, the zoning behind, you know, they're just, the front of that tract
Yeah.
is currently zoned C1,
Mhm.
which would require an SUP for this, or requires an SUP. The code basically says something like this is feasible, but only with an SUP. And SUPs usually mean it's not a hard no, because if it were a hard no, it would not be allowed, period. But the back of the property is actually zoned residential, so that's honestly a totally different conversation that the board would be.
And
So,
what I'm getting at is inside information,
Got it.
but that was taken under consideration of what designing.
Got it.
How am I gonna be able to expand, maybe I can later do the L, or you know, just, it doesn't have to be another 100 feet, maybe it's just a 50. It's just something that he's thinking, he's excited about it, and he's calling me every day, what's the status?
Yeah.
I know, as a city, you know, we're trying to be low or no property tax city. We've always been trying to promote retail, commercial along 35, which is one of our primary, one of our few economic advantages, right? And I know Brandon, you said they roughly use half. Is it possible to have the facility towards the back of the property where the front is still available for lease for some type of retail or restaurant or something like that? And then if you're going to expand, we give some kind of conditional approval to that residential, that it was a little bit further back instead of to the front. 'Cause I don't think you need to be on the highway frontage necessarily, or?
No, he wants to be on this frontage, and it's an idea to leave. Well, on the first design, when we had this parking on the side of the building in front, that was an idea to leave as much, as big as it is, because maybe later on he's going to decide something over there too. So it's easier for later on to turn down the parking, move the parking on the back and build something there. So he wanted to save the space, go long ways to the back.
What's the size of a standard pad site? Or-
Yeah, usually a retail site, you want to have, I mean, at least 300 feet of depth. You know, like say a Schlotchkes or a Chick-fil-A or something like that. I mean, yeah, you need at least 250. That's kind of the common, that's the bare minimum of depth that you want for retail.
We have that.
Yeah. And so yeah, what the mayor's saying is if y'all were able to move everything back 200 feet, that would be even more advantageous.
Oh, you mean the whole building?
But move everything back 200 feet and leave the front, you know, put some sort of common drive through there. And, you know, that might be something that the city could consider, you know, a rezoning, maybe even doing a planned development district like we were just talking about, a planned development district for the balance of the property, push everything back and give y'all a little bit more flexibility in the back to preserve the front, since y'all do control the whole piece.
And, how did you say the connection? Maybe some residential.
Yeah.
So that's, he's thinking about that, residential. And I don't know if you all know the lady on behind him, some Korean lady or, I don't know. So we are negotiating to buy out and get all of these things. So it's just also a piece of information I don't think I even should say it.
That's the parcel with retention pond, right? For one of
It kind of goes,
Yeah.
So right now, the realtors negotiating the best property over there to get it combined with a big residential development.
Well, what I can tell you, to tell your client is, from our residents have told us, they want to have very low property taxes. The way for us to maintain that and improve services is to increase sales tax collection. And so our ability to do sales tax,
I guess it's this tax, no?
sorry, not on wholesale.
No.
Only on retail. So again, for us, preserving our I-35 frontage for potential retail sites is one of our highest priorities. And so that would make us, at least me, and I can't speak for the commissioners, far more willing to say, hey, we're willing to give you more on the back end to preserve that possibility of retail on the front. And we just put together $4 million for sewer coming through that's going to make those things possible. Of course, that's another revenue stream for your client, at least a pad side or something like that.
Yeah, we can leave this all, if the
So
project
that's-
is gonna be just like the way it is, there's plenty of room for the retail.
And that's something that can be zoned in, that pad site can be zoned for
Yeah.
retail, and then the rest being a special.
exactly through the PD, through
Yeah.
the Plan Development District, we could ensure all that. Because it is zone C1, so it would need the same thing, Plan Development District with the base zoning of the RD1, which is our standard I-35 zoning, or RD2, I'm sorry, our I-35, regional retail corridor type of zoning. So that would be the base. And through the Plan Development District, we would have some sort of, kind of land use plan for the whole entire piece of property that says, all right, this stuff up here is preserved for retail, this back here is allowed to have the wholesale, and then the back end is allowed to have the residential. You can accomplish all three of those through a Plan Development District, and the owner has the assurance he needs to start to make investment. He's got the zoning he wants for the whole entire thing. So he's kind of killing a few birds with one stone.
Gentlemen, it's time to put into work. Let's get it resolved, so I can get to work. And I think the way that we agreed on right now, to put this big trucks on the back, that will be look pretty cool.
Well, it solves one of the
And
issues.
with all
Yeah.
the side for future rezoning or whatever we're gonna have to do.
Do you think the owner would be willing to entertain what the mayor was talking about, looking at a larger plan to move the building back?
At this point, he is just calling, what the hell is going on? And I'm trying to say, listen, we had the zoning, we had the plans over there, we had the permit, because he had a permit for the new auditorium. We had a permit for the building. I don't know what's going on right here, I'm sick of it. And if I'm gonna tell Senator Green, let's work on it another month, another two, we're gonna go back to Mexico. We're gonna work together.
Well, I mean,
I would say yes, because if I can present it later, I can build later, I can also make some money.
Yeah. Well, it would be pre-approved for all
yeah,
that.
exactly.
So the next time it's just pull the permits.
Yeah, he basically has, not only would he have approval for his immediate desire, which is food product, he would have zoning approval for his full building. So I think that's the thing to convey. And I'd say, and I'm happy to meet with the owner too, help him understand, because it sounds like maybe there's some confusion about what he thinks he has the right to do right now versus what he really does. And so helping him understand, like, he doesn't have any development rights on that property right now. He doesn't have the right. And so helping him understand that, he needs to get approval and there's going to be a need to make concessions to the city. And part of that, nobody is saying, no, you can't do this. What we're more saying is we'd be interested in looking at doing it this particular way.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we can if you want to set up a meeting with him, we can do a meeting with the owner and you and let him know we want to work with him. There's certain things.
Even worse if somebody is not in the subject. I rather have it done with, present to him as a, this is what we have to do,
Yeah.
this is what
We
we
can
have to do.
we can do that, for sure.
So,
Set a meeting for early next week.
how would we proceed?
Well, let me ask the commissioners, have any other, if you understand the proposal, we need to say, instead of looking at the one parcel, look at the two that he owns, preserving the front for future retail. Working with Brandon to make sure the design is conforming for the food processing plant for our facility, and then approving the back for residential, which is the long term.
This we want commercial back in front of this.
Yes. And they have its own specifically for that.
Yeah.
So that when.
So can we,
No permits have been issued.
Huh?
No permits have been issued.
So,
We can meet and I can convey that to the owner, that's the desire of the board to see more, go back and work on the land use plan in general for it.
so, let's go back there. So, if the building would stay the way it is, and all the right-hand side, which is twice as much, or another side, can we put this one as a future development for the retail? Or you want me to move the whole building all the way to the back 300 feet?
I mean, the best case scenario is that you move the building all the way to the back and preserve the entire frontage. And I think that's what we're looking at is, why, maybe that's, I understand that's, not what you guys are wanting to do, but, again, that maybe having the owner, meeting with the owner and getting a better idea of why that might not be something he's interested in, and having him understand that there's the process that we're going through is a give and take with both sides potentially, and so.
Right, I think Ketchum may look to see what that, let's say, large or, slightly above average pad size would look like. It
Yeah.
might not require them to push it all the way back.
Yeah.
I mean, huh? Yeah, because it might not be that way, right? So,
And then the building, if we, this is a separate land, that means we're gonna get into, zoning, planning.
Well, I don't think you have a platted lot right now, so you're gonna have to plat it anyway. I think the lot that you have right now is not a legally platted lot. I think it's just kind of a remainder piece. So if I recall, you're gonna have to go through the planning process anyway. I can look at VCAD right now, look at the legal description. Do you have, yeah. Either way, I'm pretty sure when I look
I
at
was
this,
speaking of,
yeah, what's the legal description on it?
lots of such and such, or is it just what you said?
Yeah, this is not a legally platted lot right now. So you guys are gonna have to plat anyway. And so that's, as the mayor said, that's the opportunity here is to come up with a long-term development plan for this, which would be advantageous for the owner. I think that's the thing to convey to the owners. Nobody's saying no, and nobody's saying no, we don't want this. They're saying this is actually something that we could work together on to come up with a mutually beneficial development plan.
But I see, somebody wants a really nice building in frontage of 35, a big sign, and then we're gonna take him, let's go through that.
Well, again, he doesn't have the right to do what he wants to do right now. And so, the city is looking for retail use. And so he doesn't have a right now to just put the building where he wants, because the zoning doesn't allow for it. So we can let him know, we want to work with you. We appreciate the investment. We want to work with you, but we need to make some changes to the site plan. I think, we definitely appreciate some of the changes you made already, but
Yeah,
see if he's interested, and we can meet next week and continue to move forward. I think what you're getting tonight is people want to work with you.
let's decide now what you want me to do. I put on the plans and I'm gonna present it to you.
Well, we need to talk, usually, you don't do that kind of stuff in a public meeting. The count, what the board does is they give you general feedback, and I think you've gotten that, and now the next step is to go and get into the minutia, the details outside of this meeting, because these meetings are not where you typically talk about the details. We'll go back, we'll have a meeting and discuss how to potentially do that, and then you bring the board the board's job is not to look at sticks and bricks and details and trees and stuff, so we can do that offline and get you back out here real soon.
But in general, so is this 100 feet back, 200 feet back?
Well, we need to look at that.
Or I can basically go to the end of the property on this commercial property and leave that one for retail.
Well, as we were saying, retail, you're gonna need at least 300 feet.
And we can take it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, Drew, I'll make a motion to table, but we can give instruction to the city planner to work with the applicant to come up with a site plan that includes retail frontage, the exception for food processing, the center, residential in the back, or whatever they want on the back, you know.
Cool.
And present that back for approval. But I think if I know if you brought a plan like that to us, that Randy approved as far as the design matching with city standards, I would certainly support that. So, that would be the idea.
Once we take this there, that Brandon, problems involved, work on it.
So you that's
In fact,
We have a motion to second. Huh?
On September 11th.
On September 11th.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Alright.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. All right, that's it. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the planning, the zoning and board of adjustment meeting.
No, we just put this one.
None opposed, the meeting is adjourned. It is 7:36 PM. I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Baltimore Board of Commissioners. It is now 7:36 as well. As the administrator, would you call the form?
Commissioner Special Martinez? Commissioner Guzman?
Here.
Mayor Arberton Rivera?
Here.
Mayor Ford?
We have a quorum. We'll move on. Agenda item number 1 is the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners. There will be no separate discussion on these items, and will be acted with one motion unless reviewed by any board member to discuss and consider separately by making such request prior to a motion. Does anybody wish to pull any of the consent agenda items?
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hearing none, we'll move forward. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is approval of minutes, approval of police statistics, and approval of financial update.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 2, review and discussion on the tax rate worksheet and take any necessary action.
Hold on, I'm on Hester, I'm kind of helping Valerie out right now. We have sent over the tax data over to the county. The county is very far behind. They only have 1 taxing unit out of the 7 for the city to be in, so it's not in yet. They only have the Alamo district in. He said that he would get something back to me within the week, and then we should have a total tax rate. So last year when the tax was computed, it didn't take both of your INS and your M&O together. So your tax rate was a little bit lower than what it should have really been. So as of right now, on the new tax rate, which should be on that spreadsheet that Valerie sent you in your packet, you should be going up to .23 from the 1.4. Now, of course, that's, completely up to the well, not council, I'm sorry, I've been working with city council, the board, I'm sorry. But, and that's kind of where you're at right now with that, based upon what y'all think.
As you all know, I have a strong feeling on the tax rate. Obviously, I ran on eliminating taxes again, something that we enjoyed for many years. I know 2/3 of the city voted in favor of that. And so what I would like to do is consider, we're not doing the final today, right?
No.
Preliminary. I would consider that we start working with the 0 tax rate, start building the budget, and see what we can do with that, with the goal of trying to achieve that this year. I know I wouldn't support an increase in tax rate for sure, but I think think the residents spoke very clearly that that's something they want us to try to accomplish. You ready?
No.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we start with the zero tax rate and try to build a budget for that. And with the final adoption, like a month away, right, in September, we have an opportunity that if we just can't get there, then we can look at our options. But I'd rather start with the goal in mind versus assuming something higher and kind of, it'd be much harder to get that or get there if we do it that way.
So with the helping city, I just want to clarify, so we want to reduce to totally zero, right? So that would take out, if our total revenues for the year on the audited statement is 600, or 862,000, we're going to be reducing right at 500,000 worth of revenue.
No, we have like 500,000 in property tax.
Property taxes,
135 or so.
I'm sorry, that was sales, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
wrong one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 135,000, I'm sorry, you're right.
I think we can get there.
So we're talking about reversing even what we approved last year? But we can do forecast on that, and you can look at it, if that's what you want to do, I can throw that together very quickly for all of you. And,
I mean, it shows, look, see what those numbers look like.
We're looking at working with last year's.
Well, I imagine it's gonna be similar. I mean, I don't think our property, swung extreme.
we went up, it was, we valued it 87 million, and we went to 91 million.
So about 3 or 4%.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't a huge jump, but with Valerie talking about when the linear and all that starts coming in, that could be a huge jump for you.
I think, so, based on the certificate of obligation of tax note series we have on the building, I think we have to have legally to back that up, at least enough to cover that payment, in order to maintain that note. But, other than that, that'll be my recommended floor.
Well, I understand that. I think we can resolve that with a sinking fund. And I know we have other things on the agenda with regard to possible certificate of obligation, which might be able to give us the funds to do that, plus revenue income and other things that could supplement. So, that was part of the plan. I mean, for now, we're not adopting the rate. I think we want, the idea is to I'm sorry. Lynette, pull together one with zero, and as we start building the budget, let's see how we can get there. And if we fall short, then we can address it at that time. We've got a month or so to work on it.
I have to get something filed by the 18th, am I right?
Yeah, so we need
Yeah.
to at least propose something today. That way we can meet the timeline. So we have to adopt a proposed tax rate.
And you adopt a proposed ceiling that it's no higher than.
You just pick a number, it's not binding, but that's what's going to be advertised. When we
Because we have to do the
for
public.
hearing.
Yes.
So and that really, we should make a motion to adopt any proposed under item 3. So,
Yeah.
That can be modified. So I would entertain a motion that we advertise a zero tax rate. So we can begin this process and you can adjust it if necessary.
How much would we pay for? When do we have that?
Right now, it's 0.1137, and then
0.2306, right? Is that what it says?
That's the,
That was,
that's the maximum rate without having it economic.
that's
That's
the
no new-
tax rate.
that's the no new revenue rate.
But the next one, we'll up to here.
We'll have public hearings, that's required, so we can get input as well, so. But I'd like to advertise the review.
you just have, so it's not a binding number, you just have to propose one officially.
You could say, we are giving a tip, or how would you want to word it, as not to exceed a certain, can we do it like that?
I think we have to have a proposed.
Officially, the statement is
set?
going to be, we propose X tax rate.
Oh, it's set, okay.
And again, you can change it at the time of the final hearing, but the number has to be set so that we can publish it.
I mean, we pretty well got to get out the vote to keep it. 3.7, that's not the vote. It's a microphone, somebody else.
Sure. Like I said, I think our residents were very adamant and very clear that they wanted a zero tax rate. I understand that they may not be 100% possible this year, but we at least need to cut it at some point, right? And,
Can't run the city with the money.
I understand that, but we have lots of roads. It's about 10% of our budget. And if we can't find 10%,
It literally covers the building union and the parking.
and I think we have some potential alternative to new revenue streams to offset that. Whether it's the rental on the new land purchase or the impound lots going to bring in new revenues. And again, it's something our citizens have enjoyed and they value it, right? They don't have to pay. And that comes out of people's budgets, it comes out of people's finances, and right now with all the inflation and everything going up, we've done this in the past, and I know Sam, you supported me in the past, especially in economic challenging times, cutting tax rates, because a lot of our residents are what I would call, they may own their properties, but they're on fixed incomes, right? They're retirees, they're on Social Security, and so everything we tax them directly on the property comes out of their prescription and food budget. Anything we can tax on sales, like making sure we've got pad sites here for retail, or helping the pilots with their redevelopment so we can get more sales tax. Those are revenues we can spend without taking it out of the pockets of our
Well, revenue is not gonna come this year.
Oh, I know, but I think it's the percentage of what it is to our total budget is enough that we can't find 10% efficiency plus increased revenues with the two projects we have that will generate revenue starting this year, not next year. That we're not doing something right. I know I've already been meeting with Valerie on things that we can cut, or things that were in last year's budget that aren't going to carry over to this year. I think it's very much achievable. Yeah, we're going to be voting for it, we're voting all through. So we just proposed a zero tax rate. I think that shows good faith to the electorate. And we're going to be working on the budget here in public in front of everybody. And if the numbers just aren't there, we can bring it up. But if we start with a higher rate, the residents are going to say, well, why didn't you guys even try? Right?
We can't tell you the fact that it's been working beautiful on last year. So we got here 2-3 years ago.
We had no money.
Huh?
We had no money.
No, it's zero balance. Somebody screwed up on the last, so we can't work that way. We're trying to get it straightened out. We got to keep what we have, and I think we're going to leave. If people don't like it, you can't run the office without any business.
Well, I understand, but we have I think what was our budget last year, 1.2,
I can't run the house if I don't get a name.
1.3 million? Yeah, we're talking about from 1.3 to 1.27.
It'll be for time of texture, about 100%.
But I think once we start going through the budget and we start seeing these additional revenue streams, and when you look at the proposed cuts or the expenditures that we're not carrying forward, it's not a reduction in services, right? It's a reduction in administration, or it's giving the residents the benefit of the efficiencies that we're finding, right? We used to pay $20,000 a year for a software that we can replace now with a $2,000 software. Then we can share that with our residents through tax credit.
The people who are not should see that a lot of good things are happening with a little tax and charge. We need to have more people.
You've got to need.
Huh?
That's what we need.
We need to have more people.
Anybody complaining? Nobody here.
You can't,
Well, we're gonna get this monster line, it was 0 and I'll do 1.437.
We have to pick one for publication. So,
Just pick, somebody make a motion.
I make a motion that we go to 1437 and then we work on the budget.
is there a second?
I said,
I'll make a motion, why don't we go with 1.0?
you can.
Start with something a little bit less. Huh?
You can't make a motion.
No, I'm making a motion to amend.
You can't make a motion.
I can make a motion.
No, you can't. Robert Rules Order says the chair or the president or the commander cannot make a motion. I deal with this
Okay,
in
well then I surrender the gavel to make a motion. So as Mayor Pro Tem, you take the gavel.
what do you want the motion to be?
I'm gonna make a motion to amend your motion.
We already did it.
No, we had a motion in a second, now we're doing discussion. So I make a motion to amend the motion, to go from 1.4 to 1.0. Now remember, this is just a public notice, and we're gonna work on the budget, and we can either go up, we can go down. Obviously, I'm gonna be asking to go down. If you wanna go, at the end of the day, you wanna go back up to 1.4, you have the right to do that later on. But at least we can show the residents who clearly asked for a 0, that at least we went down a little bit. And we didn't just ignore that, right?
So, to make, I second the motion. Now, you want to put 1.0.
No, I'm asking for 1.0.
So he's made a motion.
So we have,
Would you like to second his motion to lower the proposed rate from 0.14 to 0.10?
no, because when you start figuring, messing around with figures, so
But he's not making a motion, because he can't. It's an amended motion.
Even, all right, so he's made a motion, no second here. Are you gonna second a motion?
My motion.
Let's just let him make a motion as he's surrendered the gavel.
It's an amendment. He's amended the motion.
But you failed to do not second. So you're not gonna second the motion, so then the motion would die. And then you can return the gavel.
No, I want to second the motion so he can get his point in. But not as a motion from him. It's an amendment to the motion.
Correct.
He said it himself.
Right, so if you don't second the motion, then his motion to lower the rate, the proposed rate dies, and you can return the gavel, and then it's back to your original motion of 0.14.
Or you can second it, and then we can discuss and vote on whether we want to lower it to 1.4 or 0.14.
The motion is that,
So the
We
original.
lower the proposed rate from 0.14, which you originally proposed, to 0.10. Basically a 40% reduction or whatever that is.
Or under the point.
what do we have said?
Would you, okay, so the original motion
I'm
was,
here, I'm a member of 10 now, I can't vote, I can't.
okay, so you're not gonna second it?
No,
All right, so the return for the motion for amending
The
that
motion
dies,
fails.
you may return the gavel.
we're still gonna talk about this, it's not like it's over.
Okay, so, the motion is to set the proposed rate at the same rate as last year, 1.43, whatever. We have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Alright,
This is the one for Sammy's motion.
I second it.
We have a motion and a
Now he's
second,
voting on it.
yeah, all in favor, say aye.
now we're going on. Alright,
All right, all opposed? Put me down as no's. Motion carries. All right, agenda item number 3. Discuss, consider, and take possible action regarding approval of proposed 2025 tax rate and setting of a public hearing, any matters related thereto.
Okay, so, for the calendar, we have to post notice of the tax rate hearing by September 22nd. That's the last thing to publish notice. And March 24th is the last day to notice the meeting to adopt the tax rate. September 29th is the last day for hearing and to adopt the tax rate.
So how many hearing days do we need, or just one or two?
Well, with it being the same If it remains the same, I don't believe that.
You can adopt, but, tell me if I'm wrong, Jacob, but we can adopt it, we have to do it within 7 days? What's the rule? If we do it
So if
during,
it's I think if we determine that even the other rate, as long as you keep the final rate below the voter approval rate that you have until like September 15th.
but I think she was talking about the meeting, so if they,
Yeah,
yeah. So during the meeting, we can approve, we can adopt the rate, but we can adopt it in, as long as we,
I know the last day to do
Yeah.
is September 29th. That's the last day we can.
I know we can adopt the rate during the meeting, during the public
We used to do
hearing.
it at the same time as the budget.
But if you don't, I know I have to do it 7 days, at least 7 days after that meeting, we have to get called back, so.
But I know we have to adopt the budget prior to adopting the
Yes.
tax rate. So,
I mean, really, if y'all can do it the same day, or just, if y'all can do it the next meeting, that way y'all don't even have to call a special meeting, y'all can just do them both at the same time.
September 11th.
as long as we get it noticed,
Will that be long enough to get the public notices out?
Yes.
That's my issue.
Through,
if I do this next week, yes.
September 11th.
oh, one
But
second.
that's y'all,
I just realized I have a conflict at 8 PM. So we could move the meeting maybe earlier today,
yeah.
or the day before, or the day after. Like,
Well, we just set the others for September,
right, we didn't give a time.
we need time, so.
Would y'all be willing to do it midday, like noon or 1 o'clock? Yeah. I'm sorry.
Can you do it at noon on the
We
11th?
have a meeting,
Yeah. Okay, I'll set it for noon. Okay, yeah, that works.
so.
All right, is the other,
We just need to set dates, right? So we're setting it for September 11th? Or tell me exactly what we're saying?
Tax rate and budget.
You said September 11th?
I think,
tax rate budget and then the two planning zone, planning zone meeting at the same time. Meeting. Okay.
So August 13th, based upon TML and the comptroller, is my last day to publish a notice with the tax hearing.
and that's Wednesday,
Yes.
and that's when I can have it in the paper.
You can, okay, just making sure.
Okay, anything else on that item? All right, 4, discuss, consider, take possible action regarding the proposed budget for 2025-26 and setting a public hearing or any matter related to it.
So we say-
Same thing. All right, September 11th at noon. Do we need a motion for that? Thank you.
Yes, I would.
I'll entertain a motion to set the budget hearing for noon on September 11th. Is that right?
Go with that motion.
Do you have a second? All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Updated discussion from the city archaeologist.
And busy.
Yes. All right, we got 5 minutes or so, please.
Yeah, we've got a live site, we have a live site over here, 35, was, recorded 41 BX, and then we have 41 BX, that is a live, that was a live site, back in 1977, she came out here, Mary Frances Chatterbox, she came out here and did a dig out here, and they found that it was an Indian village back then. They collected, we got artifacts that UTSA, that's why I deal with, that's why we're with UTSA. And what I'm collecting now, we're gonna compare, we might open up the site again, I might be able to do a dig. I have to wait for what they come to do. I just kind of go out there and set up units and start a dig. I'm waiting for the word from Clint McKenzie come out, me and Clint McKenzie went out to the site, we walked it, and it's different. It was definitely a live site and very, I don't like to use the word rich, very rich site, because then everybody gets to thinking, well, those points are worth money. I don't buy or sell artifacts. That's not what we do. We collect for, our evidence is what the people did back thousands of years ago. We don't buy or sell artifacts. I'm saying a rich site, there's a lot of material out there still left that they missed. So, some reason or another, they did look, about 15 points already out there, besides pools that I have found, handfuls that use here. But some people, a lot of people are not interested in history, and it's fine, it's up to you. But I'm talking about material. I put my showcase up here in the city hall. You go in there, you look at it. Everything that's in there is 2,000 to 6,000 years old. 6,000 means that there's one axe in there that's thank you, Mom. That's 5,000 to 6,000 years old. That axe. Everything else will be 2,000 to 3,000 years old. But just imagine, just to let everybody know, if you're not interested in history, these points just didn't fall out of the sky. You know what I mean? Somebody just didn't come up there from a plane or something, throw them out of the field. These were left out there by the ancient Indians. That's what we know them as, ancient Indians. Not the Comanches, not the Cherokees, the Huiltecas, whoever other Indians. We find their material also, the newer material. But this is from ancient Indians, thousands of years ago, that roamed through here from Mexico all the way to Oklahoma. Buffaloes run through here also. Wild buffaloes run all through these lands before anything was built out here. But,
Alright, so, and I know it wasn't an easy task to create these, like arrowheads and hammers and axes. What would lead people to leave those valuable tools in the application? Or do you think they'd like to die in that location?
they died in that location, and they left them to family, to other members that continue to use them and continue to make the same, weapons. It's sad that we're not gonna find arrows, we're not gonna find a bow, we're not gonna find a big 2-foot handle that the axe had around it. We was not gonna.
But, yeah, I think you could think of it as a campsite.
Campsite.
It's just like your house, you throw things away, sometimes the tool breaks, you toss it out. Some of these are partially made, sometimes they're even, they shot something, right? They get lost in the brush, or, just like today, you lay down on the sofa and your pocket changes up, people drop things, but it just shows centuries of habitation and rehabilitation, because the types of points are so different that they cross different eras, right?
5% of them are gonna be busted.